Hi, good morning, and welcome to the podcast. Um, my name is Hanley. I'm a car bike reseller from Scotland. With me is Sam, a clothing reseller from Australia, and she's on the wrong side. So I was going to point that way, but now she's on this side. We like to keep it spicy over here by just messing around with the display. Not that you shouldn't be looking at us. Do not look at us. Go do your work. Listen to what we're saying. You don't even really have to listen to what we say. If you just leave this playing so we can get some views, I'd be quite happy with that too. But this is the Business and Banter Podcast where we talk a lot about business and conspiracy theories. And I genuinely think we should just change it to Business and Conspiracy Theories Podcast because that's so much more fitting to what we're doing, right? It doesn't have a nice ring to it, but it is true and factual.
It is hilarious that we continue to tell people to only listen and not watch, whereas last week we spoke too much about conspiracy theories and I actually had to edit it out with little mini pictures, which are only viewable if you watch, not listen.
That editing was so on point. Like, it was so bad that it was good. I was such a
Yeah.
fan. I was laughing when I looked at it. And if I'm the only one who gets joy and laughter out of this, then, well, that's fine too. You know?
A lot of people ask for the full recording and we actually can't post it. People will get in trouble.
The thing is, Sam knows things, and Sam said things, which she then later realized she probably shouldn't be saying. And then, unfortunately, she had to remove it. But I have the secrets. I know what she says, and I am not opposed to bribes. So hit me
And
up.
you've seen the actual coin that I have from Pine Gap. You can
I
confirm
do.
I am a
I do.
spy.
Um, I am for sale. My what I know. Hit me up. Um. Anyway, moving along. Today, today I thought we'd have a little chat. We're ending off Q3. We're heading into Q4. Which, funny enough, a month ago I said to James, Bold Vibes, I said we should do a little call about like going into Q4 because it's Q4 at the end of the week. And then he made a post saying the call is about Q4 next week. And then I realized it's not. It's next month. I apologize, James. That was just me. But it is actually Q4 coming
Soon.
up. Yes. And so looking back over the Q3, 1, 2, and 3 we've had, it's been the best I've ever had in my business. And that obviously makes you reflect a bit on why is that? I've started reselling in May 2020. And so I thought we could take a little walk through kind of why, because I know for you, it's also been the best you've ever had. And so
Oh,
I
for
wanted
sure.
to visit that a little bit.
I'm so down with this. So it feels like every year there's just this big jump in my business, but only when you take the time to look back do you realize how big that jump actually
Mhm.
is, especially when you're working solo.
Yeah. I think also a lot of why things progress and you do better is you make realizations, you understand things more, it's experience, right? I know very few people who just started out and was successful immediately and then has been able to carry that through all the way. I think when we started reselling, we were quite successful because we were selling very niche parts we already owned. So we had no cost of goods, a crazy sell through in COVID, life was fab. But then when things get back to normal, it gets harder. So I think the price we pay for success is experience and time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes people looking in might think that it's an overnight like success, but it's like for you 5 years of having to learn and there's been failures and like trip ups along the way that have only been able to teach you massive lessons. I know for me, one of the biggest lessons I learned was not to buy a large quantity of wholesale from certain wholesalers in Australia who shall not be named. Because when you spend all of your money and it is garbage, they say
Mhm.
sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And that really is correct. Like, as much as it hurt and they didn't get the money back, like, that's one of the best lessons I've ever learned.
I think buying strategies for businesses is very dependent on the category you sell in. I never, not once, handpicked anything.
Mm.
Um, to my knowledge, there's no way you can go and handpick new car parts to resell. So my business has always been built on buying bulk. I've never bought from wholesale, but buying bulk. And so I think also learning the buying strategies for your niche or what you're selling is very important because that makes or breaks the business.
For sure. And I think sometimes we like to copy and paste what other people do. And when it doesn't initially work out on the first time that you try that strategy, you're like, well, that doesn't work for me. And then we don't try again. Whereas it might just be that you asked the wrong person, or it was the wrong day, it was the wrong time, or it simply was the wrong person in that organization.
I think with buying strategies, there is this elusive unicorn in the world of reselling of the contact. Everyone wants the contact that's going to give you these exact items at this exact price and is going to sell in this amount of time, and you're going to get this much product and nothing less will do, right? And this elusive unicorn is out there and every reseller is chasing it, right? And there's two ways that can go. One way is you overcommit to opportunities to try and find it and you actually bankrupt yourself, which both of us went into
For sure.
previously.
Yeah.
The other part of it that I don't think is addressed as much is that you actually make that a present for your business and you don't take any opportunities. You're not willing to make any concessions on that. And you actually become so stuck in trying to find perfection that you don't progress at all.
Yeah, the phrase, like "prisoner of your own mind" you used the other day with me, and it was really profound because I just recently have had the realization that even now at my current level, I've literally been doing that. I've believed that I'm tapped out in the town that I live in, and I have to source from other places, whereas I actually don't feel like I've explored all the options that are available to me just where I am, with that change of perspective of coming out of my own, like, jail, mental jail.
Mm. Would you say that a big reason why people have these set of rules where they won't accept anything other than that item at that price or that sell through and that profit is because they don't? I think one of the biggest um objections to trying other opportunities I've heard is, well, then I have to take all the other stuff with it, or then I have to find a way to deal with all the other stuff, or then I have to where I've never, ever, not ever not had to deal with the other stuff. In fact, my business is better because I found ways to deal with the other stuff and monetize it.
Yeah, I think the ability to monetize it is the strategy there. I can't speak for other people, but like in Australia, I know a bunch of booksellers in a different state from me that get books on bulk, and the eternal struggle is how to monetize the
Mhm.
leftovers from what they don't
Yeah.
want, rather than just donating them back to another thrift store. And I think we can definitely come unstuck with that, where we think that it doesn't work because we have paid X price, but we only take 10%. And then the other 90 we have to deal with, and sometimes we have to pay to dispose of it. But if those 10% that you're getting is of a high enough quality and value, it doesn't really matter about the other 90%. It just is a cumbersome issue at that point. Like, you just need to be able
Yeah.
to move it in a sustainable way.
So my cost of goods isn't worked out on what I buy, it's worked out on what I list.
Same. Yeah.
Okay. So I buy a bulk lot. I then say from the 1st of September, I'm only listing from this lot. I go and I list everything I want to the end. Then
Hmm.
how many days of listings did I get? Times 45, because that's what I list a day.
Hmm.
Divided by how many I paid, that gives me my cost of goods. The stuff I'm not listing, the excess, right, goes into wholesale opportunities that we have with people that we sell off and that just counts as income into the business.
Yeah.
Right? I
That
don't
makes
actually go and
sense.
take that off the cost of goods because that to me was sourcing for a different business model. And a lot of the time, I only get back what I would have paid for those items, and that's perfectly fine for me. A lot of the time, it's not worth my time, and I just spend them, and that's fine with me too because my cost of goods is very good and sustainable on the actual items I list, and I found
Mm,
that's the most profitable way to run the business. I would rather overestimate my cost of goods than underestimate it by listing garbage,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. There I wouldn't have any of the opportunities I have now if had that strict of a prison of
Hmm.
requirements. And I see so many people who have this and they created a mental prison for themselves where they are saying no to opportunities. They basically niche themselves out of business. Like the metrics they set for their items is so tight and so secure that they can't make it because it's impossible.
So the other option is with your business, to play out the other like devil's advocate, you get all the stock, you take the $1,000 and times it by 1,000 pieces just for argument's sake. And
Yeah.
then you then proceed to list them and you list every single piece that's available. Then you have an inflated carrying cost. Your store's sell through will go down. And the problem with that is when things don't sell, I'm not a very happy person because it's
Um,
annoying that things
mm,
aren't moving. And then what happens is you start to develop a dislike of your business because it doesn't feel like it's successful at all.
mm.
Then we start implementing other strategies to try and get rid of this stuff that's simply not desirable. We'll start marking it down. We'll offer discounts, repeat buy coupons and stuff like that. But then when we do that, we start putting those layers onto the good quality stock that we have as well. And maybe don't we lose sight of what brings us the money versus what we should have monetized in a different sense or simply just got rid of.
Which is exactly what I did for a very long time, is I figured if
Same.
I list everything, my cost of goods is less, and then I'm more profitable, when in fact, I'm just more busy and less profitable. So,
Yes.
that's just what it's down to. So, that's why we've started, um, quality controlling the products. Yes, this is everything I bought, but only this is what's getting listed. Only this is what I want in my store. Then I look at some items and I'm like, I will literally just be wasting my time photographing and listing that. No
Yeah.
one's buying that. No one's gonna want it. And maybe one time, long, long ago, one of those items I thought that of did sell, probably got returned, or like, I mean, what are
Yeah.
the, you know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that's been major in our business. But also, when you only list the good stuff, you make good money.
Yes, and life's enjoyable because you're not just sitting there listing 120, 200 items, whatever the number is,
Yeah,
of stuff that's never going to sell. And then you're just going to have to get a new warehouse that's bigger. And then you're going to hate the stuff because you're going to have to pick it up and move it. And then when you outgrow the new storage space, you're going to have to then pick it up and move it again. And then how many times do you move it? Before, like, you accept the
yeah,
fact that these products are not desirable, they're never gonna sell. The only reason why you listed them was either you were desperate with money or it was to bring down your cost of goods. I have done literally both of those, and I'm still cleaning up the mess now, some, like, 3 years later after I was having that, scarcity mindset.
yeah. Also, it's a lot more fun to list the actual part of having to list the items. I enjoy it a lot more when I'm listing things for 80, 200, 300, 400, then sitting there going 19.99, 19.99, 19.99. Like that feels like it takes 5 hours to get through 40 items. Where if you're listing good stuff, there's excitement about it, right? So I do have a lot of items in my store that are lower priced. But a lot of them was from when I was doing it the wrong way before, so we're working through and
Yeah.
clearing them out. But lately, all the items we do list that are that low in price is because they're either multi-quantity listings and they're easy to list and easy to post and they will sell, or they're just items I've sold before that I know will sell and I'm okay with just putting them through the system, right? Do I still make mistakes? Yes. Are there items I'm not sure of, I don't know of, that I just list? I'm going to be very honest with you. Sometimes after you've photographed something already and it's just easier to just list it.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Mistake. That's just me. I know that's not necessarily the way it should be, but I'm not perfect. Um, but every single person I've spoken to that has a, and these are only the people I've spoken to. I'm not speaking for everyone, okay? That has a very successful business reselling, no longer goes out and just handpicks every item. They have items coming to them. I feel like the block a lot of people have about items coming to them is they don't have full control or they end up with items they can't list.
Mm.
But no one ever talks about all the items you get that you can list
And how much they sell for.
and the time you save. And isn't that a small price to pay to then just deal with the other stuff? That's the way I've always looked at it. I've said on here many times the reason I do things the way I do it is because I don't have to go outsourcing.
Yeah.
And that gives me time at home with my family.
Mhm. Yeah. That's a beautiful trade-off.
To me, it makes sense to me. My husband, obviously Martin's coming into the business now. Well, to be honest, he's always been in the business. He's just had a full-time job, right? But we're gonna be doing this full time now. And specifically since about last year, I don't know around when, but somewhere last year, he took over all the sourcing, so all the negotiating. I run things behind the scenes for the sourcing, but he's the one who speaks to people and goes, and that's been working really well. But even
Mhm.
that, the actual traveling time is minimal. When it like, we literally only travel when we go pick things up. The rest he just does on the phone or we do through other forms of communication. But the thing is then if you show up and you wanna buy stuff, you have to take everything. The problem people want to solve when they sell stuff is they want it all gone. The same way we want everything gone we list.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a two-way street, right? Like, I can't when the op shop here, thrift store, closed down, um, and I bought their overage, like, their leftover stock. I couldn't just be like, "Hey, I'll take these 1,000 pieces and leave the other, like, 10,000
Yeah.
behind." Like, the deal was I bought all of it, and because I did buy all of it, it's such a low price
Mm.
that it made it so worthwhile for
Yeah.
me. But the first time I bought their overage before they like, when they changed, managers, I did buy all of it, and I listed all of it, and that's the stuff that I'm still clearing out now 3 years later,
Yeah.
but the second time round that I did it, instead of listing everything in there, each, like, 50 kilos, I might have taken 20 pieces. So the numbers were vastly different, but the profit, the time, the mental real estate, and the frustration all went away. And that felt great.
Not every purchase needs to turn into a listing.
No, and you said something to me one it was actually in a group setting, that if you buy off the dollar menu, then you're gonna get, like I forget the exact words, that you were gonna
So
get, like
just to give credit, that was Tegan Sports who said that to me. And then I told Sam this revelation I had where if you he basically said I was speaking to him about I all the other opportunities I have means my cost of goods will increase substantially. And he was like, yes, but so will your ASP and your profit and stuff. And the way he explained to me that really made it click was if you always buy off the dollar menu, you always get dollar menu portions.
Yes, that's the phrasing. Yeah.
And if you're gonna buy off the regular menu, you get regular menu portions, and you need to look at it the same way in your business, right? So shout out Tekken Sports, that was him, that wasn't me. Um,
Such good advice.
Such good advice because then our cost of goods did go up because we started taking other opportunities, but so did my ASP, so did my profit, so did my turnover, so did and my bottom line, more importantly, so did my bank account, right?
That's what we're here for.
Exactly. And so that you can tie in with other things where are we really taking the opportunities we have around us unique to us? Or have we decided we only want the opportunity we once heard someone else had and we are chasing that and discarding every other opportunity?
Yeah. I feel like sometimes the work in the front end, like through the dealing with all of those products and removing them, makes life easier on the back end. That's my personal thought. Because once you remove the bulk in one go,
Yeah.
like clearing it, and then you only have to like you can reduce your listing goal. Like if your goal was to say list $500 worth of product, and at the moment you're doing it in lots of 19.95 with 3 posts just for numbers sake, you can list then 1,000. Sorry, that's not the correct math. 250 products, 25 products. Got there. It's been a long day to get to those numbers. So you can list 25, or you can list 5 products at 100.
Yeah.
What
I
would you
think
prefer to do?
I think also I was listening to a podcast that Paul Klobber did with the Gentleman Marketeer where they were talking about listing goals. And I think a lot of us fall into the trap as well of having to list everything we buy because we've set a numerical listing goal.
Mm,
And so instead, the listing goal was supposed to provide discipline and consistency at a certain level, right? We missed off that part. And I've been so guilty of that as well in the past,
same.
where I focused more on hitting the listing goal than I did on hitting that level and quality at that goal.
Correct.
And so there's two reasons for it. Number one, you want to decrease your cost of goods, so you just list everything. And number two, you want to hit that number every day of how many you listed, but you've forgotten that the only reason you wanted to list that much was for it to be at that quality to make that amount of money.
And then you're not layering in over the top that if it's not a super banger product or at least a desirable one, you're probably going to have to take a best offer on it. So then if you're listing
Yeah.
it for like $10 plus post, and then you're going to have to take an offer of, or markdown of like 50% just so that your cost of goods was $1 or like 50 cents. After you take the fees, the taxes, and the cost of goods, plus your time to list that off $5, there's no money. Like you probably lost money if you're paying yourself an hourly rate.
So me and Claude, shout out Claude, is my best friend. We worked out the cost of carrying an item.
It's
And
more than people think.
I don't think people realize the cost of holding an item. And then they say, well, I have the space. That's
Hmm.
fine. But even if you have the space, why have an item that will never sell? Then they say, well, I pay a shop fee, so I don't pay insertion fees. Well, no, you do pay insertion fees. They've just put it in a monthly subscription fee, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So you still have to allocate an insertion fee to that item
Hmm.
every single
Hmm.
month it's there,
Yeah.
right?
And then
And
every time a month rolls by, the cost of goods goes from 10 cents to, say, 20 cents. And
yeah.
then from 20 cents, it goes to 30 cents.
And then plus the cost of housing the item or the cost it took you to list the item. And before you know it, within 7 months, you're losing money on that item and you'd actually just be better off burning it.
Yes, especially when you take
No,
the
but
tax
you
and
do
you're not
because you
top.
start going
Yeah,
into a negative.
yeah, you do. Yep. I've been throwing out things, and I've just been throwing them out. I've been delisting them, just getting rid of them, that are 800 days old. Like if
Oh,
you broke that down into monthly carrying costs, it costs me about 10 cents in storage just to carry that per month. So it's $1.20 each year. So then across 3 years, just to round it up, there's $3.60. And that was in my lowest markdown, and it was like $1.99, and no one wanted it. Like, that's very humbling.
but at least you hit your listing goal that day when you listed it.
But did I even? Or was I so bogged down trying to find a comp on this garbage product that no one wanted that I then, like, squirrel brain trying to find it and didn't hit my goal? Because I thought, like, I was banging out listings at this time last year, but being able to reflect back on the data that you keep, like, I feel like I do more some days than I actually achieve.
So me and Sam both got software that this program that let us pull certain data out of our stores that showed us how what percentage of our items actually sell in what period of
Oh,
time.
what you
So like the first week, the second week, the third week, that just so you can have a more because we both were under the impression that we we sell things the same day all the time. All the time. It
doesn't
happens every
happen.
day, Sam, every day. It doesn't.
It does not.
It doesn't. That doesn't happen. That
What was
doesn't.
mine, like 11 that were in, like, the same day in, like, a 3-month period?
Yeah,
It was
mine was like
nothing.
under 7% of my items, and I was like, "What?" But I swear
Yeah.
all the time, and it's not. Your mind plays tricks on
Really
you.
not.
You sell something, you think, "Oh, I just listed that." No, you listed that 2 weeks ago. Your life is just a blur because I have 3 kids and I don't even know where I am half of the time. Like, anyway, um, and I think that also helped a lot in realizing what our business is, how the business runs, I think there's a lot of, in my mind at least, there was a lot of misconceptions about my own business.
For sure. I
And the only
also
way to
realized
fight that is data.
yes. I also realized that my sell-through was not overall as strong as I thought it was. It's
Mhm.
actually a 4-month sell-through, so it's slower than I thought than the 3-month that I, had thought it was. So that's very interesting to know as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
very interesting. I feel like for the first time in a very long time over the last year, I've actually realized the power of data,
What do you think is the most powerful thing about it, in your opinion?
that it's factual.
There's no
So
hiding from
much
it either.
No, you can't hide from it, and you can't like, I'm sure you can go manipulate it if you want, but there's something really refreshing and beautiful about facts. And I think for the longest time, I built my business and what I was doing around what I heard others. I was focusing my business on influence and not data and facts. And that's a massive change we made. And that has been really good for us because it also cuts out again, bringing it back to opportunities. Now, when we look at
Mhm.
opportunities, look at the data and the facts and not necessarily what everyone else is doing or what everyone else says about it. You can look at it and be like, this is a good opportunity or this is a bad opportunity. I know people who are very successful with consignment, right? And yet the general opinion is consignment is bad, right? But then I know people I don't do consignment, but I know people and those are the people that was willing to step outside of the general opinion and look at something, get the data, do the maths, and say, yes, this is a good opportunity.
I hear a lot of people in Australia are killing it with consignment on Whatnot, which is not somewhere I
Yeah.
would have considered an opportunity at all for consignment, let alone eBay. And I can see how on eBay, if it's the correct category, like someone needs their collection of, say, rare Pokemon cards sold,
Yeah.
I could see how that can be extremely profitable for both
Yeah.
parties. Mm.
I just think we've limited our opportunities so much.
And we need to pivot more. Like we
Yeah.
need to,
We need to be more open to actually taking the opportunities we have as individuals. Like you have different opportunities than me.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Absolutely.
how can we then both say we want the exact same opportunity with the same metrics? You live somewhere else. You live in a different
Exactly.
country. People live in different towns. People like how can we that doesn't work.
No, and that's where it's that which we've come back to many times is when you try and copy someone else's business. Like I
Yeah.
have done that so many times. I have copied before I was in the reseller tech and sports group. I tried to copy people on YouTube and like it worked to a limiting degree. It wasn't great though, because the opportunities I have here are not like other states in Australia. And then I just joined the tech and sports group and copy and pasted what he did and didn't understand why it worked or
Yeah.
understand why it worked for him. And then if anything was to deviate from that plan, it didn't work for me.
Mhm.
So I had to be able to break it down to make it work for my opportunities in my location.
Well, it's comforting though, isn't it? It's comforting to see
It's just
someone be very successful and then be like, I'm just going to do that. I don't have to think about it. I don't need to do anything outside. I just stick to these strict rules, do that, and I will be successful too. The problem is, we don't ask the questions of why was so successful because in there lies the reason why they were successful and you might not be.
to be
And like
honest,
having a mentor is so powerful when you understand that part of it, where you have someone who's gone through it, don't just copy what they're doing. Go ask, why were you doing this? Why was this working for you? Why would this not work for me? Why was that successful? Why did you get into this? And only when we understand how to actually analyze that for ourselves can you apply it to your personal situation. You can't copy paste. Like, I'm sure that works to a degree, but it's limiting.
so for me, I have realized with time, it wasn't the need to copy. It was just replacing having a boss with having a pseudo boss, like an imaginary boss. So they became my boss because their model was the structure, KPIs, etc., that I just had to then do, which was in essence having someone else tell me what to do. So it was just having a boss, a pseudo boss. And it's only since I've been able to break out of that, like,
Mm.
mentality of I don't really need a boss. I can do this myself. I am self-motivating. I trust my decisions now, mostly because it all went wrong. It's all but gone wrong so many
Mhm.
times, and I've been able to fix it and correct, um, that I don't need a boss anymore. I am quite capable.
Yeah. And that only comes with time though. Like I wasn't capable at the start. I
Yeah.
needed someone to tell me what to do. I needed someone to educate me. Um, I took so much away from being with other resellers and people who've done it before, and there's so much value in that. I think my insecurity made me copy instead of learn.
Out of curiosity, what changed for you to not need a boss or someone to copy? Like, is there a pivoting thing that happened?
It stopped. No, no, it didn't stop working. It just got to a point where it wasn't progressing. And then you're like, why? And it's, well, you're not progressing. You're just doing the
Mhm.
same thing. You do the same thing that happened. And then you start questioning, you start asking questions. And then that's when I started making some of my biggest mistakes because now I'm trying to figure out for myself. Now I'm trying to like,
Yeah,
and and that's scary as well. But then you can get out on the other side and then you can have more growth. But
for sure.
I don't know. What do you think was one of the biggest contributors for the growth you've seen this year compared to last year?
Aside from increasing my listings, significantly, it was refining a lot of processes. So it was refining my knowledge. It was refining my, like, board behind me. It was upgrading the
Mhm,
computer, those sorts of things. Um, and there has been a really big, stark contrast in my mind between January last year and right now in regards to scarcity. Like, there is absolutely no shortage of product anywhere in the world. I swear it. Like, we're only bound and limited by what we think, because when you think it, you're thinking it into existence, because you'll either not ask the question because you've made the decision mentally, subconsciously, that it's not going to happen for you, or you'll wake up and then be like, oh, I feel slightly uncomfortable today. My back's a little bit twingy. I won't try, because you've made the
mm.
decision. Like, there is no shortage.
Is there a shortage of sales and buyers?
Well, I don't think so, but that's me. I think that the pre-loved circular fashion space is the fastest growing industry as per the data. It just may not be on eBay.
I've learned that every time I have a shortage mindset about sales or buyers, it's because there is a shortage of sales and buyers for the specific item I'm listing.
Oh, yeah, that's the best way to frame that. Yep,
Yeah. And so I need to look at what I'm listing at what price and what I'm doing. And then funny enough, you go sort that out and then all of a sudden there's no shortage again. So I think there's a lot of emphasis on what it is you're trying to sell.
that's so true. The
Yeah.
way that you frame that is the most simplistic and
Mhm,
real version of
mhm.
that I've ever heard. That is 100% spot on.
Put it on a t-shirt. Um, when do you know if for you and yourself and your business, when do you know when you need to start thinking about pivoting? What signs are there in your business that you recognize and go, I need to think about this because I might have to pivot?
That's a really good question.
It is that.
Yeah, so there's a couple. So on a personal level, I either become profoundly negative or
Mm.
profoundly bitchy, and I'm probably gonna,
Mm.
like, beep that out.
Don't. It's so
Um,
true.
it's so true. I become not a nice person to live with.
Same.
So there's something then going wrong, and it's usually because the sales are down or my
Mhm.
customer interactions are poor. Customers are dissatisfied either because I've missed an item, defect or something and haven't listed it, which means I'm rushing. So there's those layers in, and it's usually things that grind my gears down that then I'm like, okay, I don't feel motivated.
Mhm.
And then I take my foot off the gas and then the problem compounds. The other factor is when I'm doing all the work, everything's amazing, it's selling, there's no problems there, but I'm doing all this work. I'm listing, say, 90 items and I'm shipping 50 items, but then my bank account does not go up. So
Oh,
it stays stagnant for a repeated period of time. And it's not because I'm investing into like more like infrastructure, like a laptop, which can be capital intensive, and I haven't bought a big deal. It's over repeated weeks and months that
mm,
cash flow doesn't increase. Then I know something's wrong. What about you?
that's very good. That's brilliant. Like, honest, that is such good.
What
Um,
about you?
See, I struggle more with knowing when not to pivot. I like to pivot all the time. I like to like change this and try this and let's go here and let's go there and let's go everywhere.
Yeah,
And I have to be. We were speaking about this before we were recording. I
we
have to
were.
hold myself back a lot.
Mhm.
Um, Especially when I'm having good results. Like I am my own worst enemy. When the results are good, we're winning at life. I just want to go change everything, like, and go crazy with it. So I think for me to flip that around, when the bank account is doing really good and the money's coming in, just stay the course. Just stop, stay the course, stay on course. I think what you were saying about attitude and negativity is the number one thing that stops me from seeing that I'm the problem.
Yeah.
In that mindset, I want to blame eBay, I want to blame Satan, I want to blame everything else, um, because I'm perfect. You know, everyone
You
else
are.
is the everyone else is the problem, and so those are the two biggest struggles I face in my business. I am a very emotionally driven person. I'm trying to work on that a lot, and that has changed a lot in the last year and a half. But I still am. I have feelings. I'm a human, and I feel them very passionately, which is a great word. I like that word.
It
Um,
is one of my favorite qualities about you. When you get
mm,
a bee in your bonnet, like,
mhm.
it's endearing the lengths that you will go to sort that out. It's impressive.
My husband loves that about me, as you can imagine.
Sure he does. I certainly do from a distance.
My my youngest has the same qualities. It's quite fascinating for me to watch her navigate life as a young child and see myself. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's very humbling to see how much I can act like a 6-year-old, you know?
Especially when it's relating to Pine Gap.
Yeah, like self-reflection, people, is much needed. Um, I think this year, I think everything we've gone through and like all the discussions we've had is all geared towards growth. And that takes time and it takes experience and it takes faults and it takes flaws. And we shouldn't be discouraged by them. I used to get so discouraged every time I made a mistake or things went bad. I got negative feedback. I got a return case. I got these things used to rile me up so much.
For
And
sure.
they don't have the same effect on me anymore. I don't know why that is. I think a lot of it has to do with my worth is no longer in my eBay business, which is a different conversation. But also, if I'm doing what works, you have to expect occasional issues to arise.
There's also like a sub that I'll put in there, like a footnote that you can do the right thing for like 5 days and see no extra results. Like,
Mhm.
say this as someone that's like 7 years in, which is like thousands of days worth of doing this, and it doesn't just happen. Like, you're gonna get the return case today and you're gonna list 10 things today, and it might net the same, and then tomorrow maybe the sales are a little bit better, but it takes multiple weeks, multiple months to be able to get to the point where it feels easy. And then you don't worry about what the returns do or the credit card
Yeah.
chargebacks or any of those things.
I think also that comes to unrealistic expectation of how quickly results come. For instance, the other day, my husband came to me and he said to me, "Oh, he's been watching a lot of stuff. They're trying to create a cashless society." And they're like, "Did I know?" And I was like looking at him and I went, Oh, you're like a little baby conspiracy theorist. Like you're a little baby and you've just seen the light and just, keep at it because you'll get to where I am. But welcome. Welcome to the world of
Before
light.
you keep going, am I gonna have to clip this out with another, like, little clip
No,
art?
no.
Okay, cool.
And I was just like,
Continue.
that's so cute. Like you finally welcome to the world of truth. And I said to him, just be careful though, because every journey for the truth ends in Jesus, which is something good to remember for the rest of you as well. Anyway, personal view. And then I thought to myself how much of that relates to me and my eBay business, where really there's people
Mhm.
out there who will hear us speak. And I know for myself, I've only really maybe understood about 2%,
Mm,
right, of business or what goes on in business, of how to use business, of how to like, we're really just, and I've been at it for 5 years.
yeah. Yep.
you know, and humbling yourself and being like, yes, this is working, but being open minded enough to realize I only really understand a very tiny part of this. And 5 years in, I look back and I'm disappointed that it's taken me this long to get here, like 5 years, and we're still here.
I wonder if maybe, and this is a reflection of me, and I
Mhm.
wonder if it's the same for you, that for the first, like, 5 years, I educated myself on reselling rather than business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've taken myself out of consuming certain content and replacing it with
Yeah.
other content that's helped my mind expand and grow in terms of just strategic planning and, like, learning how to navigate certain times of year, certain pressures in the
Mm.
business, work ethic, etc.
I'm embarrassed at how long it took me to understand that that's two different things.
What do you mean?
That learning reselling and learning business is two different things.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because it's like assuming that product development is the same as
Mhm.
sales, because
Mm-mm.
they're two very different processes.
Mhm.
You can't just apply one to the other.
Mhm.
But we don't do the product development. We just do the
Mhm.
product acquisition.
And when we look at everything purely through this lens we've set for ourselves of, for me in my business, it was selling on eBay.
Yeah.
I was learning how to sell on eBay. I wasn't
Mhm.
learning about business. Those different things.
Yeah. And it's
That's crazy.
amazing when you actually change the lens and go from like, I can grab this and it will flip in 5 days, 6 days for whatever amount, which is a hypothetical, and change the narrative to how do I acquire the same product en masse and where do I get it from? Like the supply chain of it all.
Mhm.
Mm.
So good. I've really enjoyed that part though. When you come to that realization, you understand the business is so much deeper than the eBay algorithm. Um,
Yeah. And there is a notion of like, you can just outwork any of that if you wanted to. Like,
so
but
far,
you don't have to do the work.
no,
Like you can outsource it.
no. It's fun, but it gets a lot more fun when you broaden out and you broaden out into other opportunities, you broaden out into other type of learning and resource. You like I don't know about you, but a big issue I was having in my business was just I was burnt out on reselling.
Yeah, I can
Like
empathize with that a lot.
I was burnt out on doing it. I was burnt out on talking about it. I was burnt out on listening about it. I was like, oh, resell. Like honestly, it became a burden on me. And then when you realize that there's such a much broader picture, there's so many broader conversations to be had, there's so many broader things to look like, it just reignites the spark in you. And a lot of the growth we've had this year came from my excitement again about doing it.
Right? It's like resetting back to ground zero, but you have the capital to make it easier. Like it's
Mhm.
essentially like starting over again, but framing your business as a business, not as a reselling business.
Yeah. So
Mm.
fun.
Is there any advice that you would give to someone that's struggling to get past the like 10 a day or to do the 10 a day consistently to get to that business place?
Stop making other people's business rules your prison. Break out of that. What opportunities do you have? What opportunities are you working with? What opportunities can you find? What is unique to you? Not what is everyone else doing? Because the most successful people I've seen have done that.
Also, I will just add, what are you doing it for? Because
Mhm,
if you're doing it right now to pay for bills that you have tomorrow
mhm,
that you need to do, your business plan is completely different to us who don't
yeah,
have that urgency of money. Because
yeah,
if I have that urgency of money, I'm going to mark things down faster. I'm going to price them at a lower price point and I'm going to fly that product out of here. Whereas if you don't have that urgency or need, then you can price more competitively at a higher price point in the market and
mhm.
reallocate the like leftovers to other um, areas of your business.
But also the happiest people I've seen that resell build businesses that fits their personal circumstances,
For
if
sure.
that counts for anything. Like people are a lot happier when you're doing what works for you than we are trying to just duplicate and mimic what worked for someone else.
For sure. Yeah. I think that we sometimes get a little bit lost in other people's stories, or we romanticize the story.
Because it would be a lot easier if we could just do what they did and it worked. I get it. Like I wanted to do the same. Why do I want to have to figure out myself if I could just do what you did and it worked? The problem is I was trying to do what people did that wasn't in my situation or even in my area or even had the same opportunities as me. And then it becomes really hard and demotivating.
Or even in the same category. I don't know
Yeah.
anyone in Australia that sells car parts. And then
Right.
when we first started talking, I got hyperfixated and I was like, I'm going to sell car parts. Harder than it looks in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
How about
But that's the opportunity I was given, you know?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
would I step away from opportunities I'm given to go try and create opportunities I don't have?
That's so true. Plus, you
Doesn't
wouldn't be
make
able
no
to
sense.
deal with used clothes. Like, that's
Ew.
gross to you.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
nasty. Can I just say, for everyone out here who sells used clothing and you guys don't wear gloves, that's nasty. Like, what are
You
you
took that.
doing?
You took the bait so well.
That is just, I think about this every single day. The amount of yous who are out there rummaging through people's clothes. You don't know if the person washed that after they took it off.
Trust me, they don't.
That's
They just pick it up off their
nasty.
floor and they just donate it.
I
Mm.
wear gloves when I photograph my new car parts, and you telling me you can't buy some latex gloves to like, no, come on, people. Have
They
some
rip.
self-respect.
They
Have
rip.
some self-respect.
The gloves rip, and you can't feel if a product's moist, which is a factor
I
for
don't want to
clothing.
feel if it's moist. That's why I'm wearing.
And
Uh,
let me just say, it's not always rain, Hanley. It's not always rain.
why. What people? Why? Why are you? This doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't. Let me free you. It doesn't have to be this way. I cannot cope with you people. It is
I think that's a good time to wrap this one up.
I need to go wash my hands. I hope just for all of yous, I'm gonna go wash my hands for all of you because I cannot cope with this. It's not good. Have a great week. Just rethink your life choices, people. Honestly. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.